How you doing? My name is Chris DeGolo. I own Chris's Indoor Shooting Range in Guilford. Just one thing that you just said, I wasn't going to ask this, but you just said somebody can't carry somebody else's gun?
You wouldn't be able to, well, I guess if you have a pistol permit,
Yeah.
you could carry it.
Well, that's not what you just said. Well, you know, he said he had his wife's gun, and you said, no, you said he could use it at the
And
range.
transport it in the car.
But not carry.
No, but
Not carry.
he cannot carry his wife's gun, is what you just said.
I don't believe you can.
Why not? Well, you better look into that, all right? Why don't you look into that and let us know, because that
That
absolutely
we didn't
makes
change.
sense.
We did not change that after.
So you're saying that's always been in effect?
I can't tell you, off the top of my head.
Okay.
Whatever the existing law is, it is. But once again.
But what is does anybody know what that existing law
When
is?
you leave Chris Fletcher, raise your hand again. If you see Chris Fletcher and just mark down the question, we will email you the answer. Fair enough? And if you two would like to tell.
I don't.
My thing was though, the person that told me this today was a cop. So my question is, if they don't know the law, and he arrested me today, what happens to my reputation, no matter if you prove me innocent or not? It's gonna go in.
But that's existing, whatever the existing law is, we didn't touch it. So if he didn't know the law, he didn't know the law prior to the bill. But we will get you both those answers. Just make sure you give Chris
Sorry,
Fletcher.
that wasn't even why I came up.
I know, there's something different.
I just happened to hear
Yeah.
that, and, you know. Okay, thank you. All right, what I did come up here for was, we keep talking about the majority, like you mentioned a couple of things. I think if you took a poll, everybody, 90-something% of people would agree that we want stricter background checks. I've had a gun shop for 25 years. I don't believe anybody should buy a gun without a background check. Most people here agree with that. But then I don't understand where it goes from background check to registering our guns. Yes, we want to make sure, and I'm sure checking somebody's background would prevent people that are not supposed to have guns to get guns. I understand that. But then it automatically flows into, but you have to register your guns. So what I would understand increasing background checks. You want to get a card to buy a gun, that's fine. Like you said, if you have a pistol permit, you can do that already. You know, we have a 2-week waiting period in Connecticut. A lot of states don't have that. Okay? I mean, I went through the assault weapon ban in 92, 93, 94, whenever it was, but I don't understand it. They had a system. We all knew when this year, whether we agree with it or not, which most of us didn't, obviously, but when it passed, they said by such and such a date, you can't buy these guns after such and such a date. Why did it have to be at 12 o'clock in the afternoon? The law, I listened to that thing till 2 o'clock in the morning. A lot of people said they didn't get the bill till 8 o'clock in the morning. Got this bill, you said it yourself, you didn't read the whole thing.
Heard most of it.
Most of it. That's not, you didn't read it all. Why did it have to be done that day? Okay? Why did the guns have to stop at 12:30 in the afternoon? Not on July 1st or October 1st, like they did the first time.
Right.
There was, we all knew what was going on. We knew there was procedures. You just pass this thing, there's no procedure. You call it the state. We don't know how to register our magazines. We don't know, we don't know I call the state, they don't know nothing. And like you said, they're the ones that are supposed to enforce it.
I personally think it should have been July 1st. I do. But I'm not going to, the governor's not going to listen to me, but I personally believe it should have been July 1st of 2013. But I don't have that said.
I mean, like I said,
That's my personal.
that's what's, I think annoying a lot of people too. Not only that it
It's
passed,
annoying to us
but
also. It really is. I mean, it should have been July 1st, 2013. That's generally unless the ESER bills will be the next day. It's up to the
I
governor.
mean, every bill, like every law that goes into
Sign the
effect,
bill.
it's like October 1st.
Right.
But this year was like 12/15 that day. It's like, like I said, I don't know that, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but that part might not be constitutional, like you could do it that quick.
It probably is, but I do agree that it should have been more lag time, more lead time. That's why a lot of this, if you were to get pulled over and you didn't have a registered or a documented, there'll be a minimal, it's not a fine, but you're basically going to stop in the risk. It's not really fair to you, and you're not going to have a record, but it's not fair to you. you'll basically get a pass. The second time, you wouldn't get a pass, though. You know, if you didn't declare your magazine, or you didn't declare your AR.
And as far as this gentleman about the police, I've talked to police officers, and in Connecticut, we've had the 2-week waiting period, you know, on rifles and shotguns for 15 years, all right? You haven't been able to buy a handgun without a permit for 15 years. A guy came into my shop and says to me, he went to the police department and told him to come to our shop, and all he had to do was fill out a 2-week waiting period to buy a handgun. So they don't even know. I'm a certified instructor. I'm getting people come into my class. I had somebody come into my class. They had an application from 2006 that they just picked up at the local, from the state police barracks, is handing out, you know, applications that are 7 years old. So, you know, I have no problem with police, but a lot of, they're just not, they're not keeping up on a lot of
It's gonna be a lot of
laws.
work.
In the old ban, I had a cop tell me, the law says, you know, the gun manufacturer cannot manufacture any more guns with more than 10 rounds, okay? I had a police officer tell me that I could not carry 15 rounds in my gun, I could only carry 10. This is 20 years ago. So, as far as the police, they're not keeping up on all this stuff.
No, I think it's gonna be very vague in many cases.
Can I say that we run across that problem a couple of weeks ago? Gun stores. People had ordered guns prior to the law's effect, and they were in transit because there's been a backlog.
Right.
And the state police had gone to a bunch of gun places and said, if you give the gun to someone who's ordered and paid for it, so they ordered it before the law, paid for it before the law, but delivered after the law, you've committed a felony. We heard about it, we got together with the state police and sat down with them and said, you're wrong, this is why you're wrong, redo the notice. And the notice went out telling that the gun guys, that they could, the gun stores, that they could go ahead and do this. I can't explain that, but I will tell you another thing we are doing is we are sitting down with them. In fact, Mike is one of the chief guys on this and going through with the state police, making sure, because we've heard of other glitches. For instance, with a pistol, where it comes down, you have the 10 rounds, but it comes a little bit lower than the handle. The intent is that's okay. We want to make sure the state police agree that that's what our intent is. And if they don't, we're going to make it clear in
Yeah,
this.
I mean, 90% of the guns made, the magazine, there's a
Absolutely.
little
It's
butt
just a
plate on the
little
back.
bit-
Right.
It's the extension of the handle, and clearly that was our intent. But you find things like this, it happens all the time, not that the bill was rushed. It happens all the time, you pass the bill, and you go back, and you make corrections. I'm glad we can do it within the session, because if this was passed in June, and we found problems, we wouldn't be able to tackle it again until next February. So we're glad we're finding some of the issues here. So said the Armored Corps gentleman, the Armored Corps, I don't know if he's left or not, but that's another one that has to be looked at.
Okay, so like if, there's some guns that have a very short grip, and they make a piece that slides on the magazine. It's called
That
a
has a
finger
handle.
grip.
That's
Finger
great.
grip. Finger grip. So is that legal?
We say yes.
That was the intent.
That was the intent.
As long as it doesn't add extra, there's some that are made that add extra rounds. So obviously those would not be.
Exactly. That was the intent. That's the little things, that's some of the things, I won't say little, because it's been, some of the things we have to go back, and we're talking to them about.
Okay, thank you.